Senator Vicente Soto will read the prayer for Senator Grace po.
Panginoon, bigyan mo po kami ng layunin na higit sa aming sarili. Turuan mo po kaming isantabi ang aming pansariling nais para magbigay daan sa makabubuti sa nakakarami. Ihanay mo po ang pagnanais namin sa tawag mong maglingkod ng tapat. Patibayin mo po ang loob namin kapag binabato kami para kami ay pahinain. Patatagin mo po kami kapag kami ginigipit nang dahil sa paggawa ng dapat namin gawin. Itulot mo po kami mula sa tukso at ipaggadya mo kami sa lahat ng masama. Amen.
Amen. Sino nito sa taas? With the permission of the chamber, the chair declares a 1-minute recess. Tawagin naman sila. Right. Saan si Greg? Ayun, si Vice President. Session is resumed. The Secretary will call the roll.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan Peter, Compañero S, Cayetano Pia S, Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Unasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Drilon.
14 senators are present. The chair declares the presence of a quorum. The majority leader. Hold on, we have no microphone.
Thank you. Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 30th session, October 5, 2015, and consider the same as approved.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Mr. President, I would like to acknowledge the following guests: AB Political Science and BS Economics students of Dalubhasan ng Lungsod ng San Pablo, headed by Arthur Ciolo, Luz Viminda Bandian. Political Science students of Arellano University, Araling Panlipunan teachers of Paco Catholic School, headed by Mr. Melvin Semera, Mr. Annalyn Borjal, and law students of De La Salle, headed by Christy Buñales.
The students of Dalubhasan ng Lungsod ng San Pablo, led by Mr. Arthur Ciolo and Ms. Luz Viminda Bandian. The students of Arellano University, Legarda Campus. The students of Paco Catholic School, led by Melvin Simera and Ms. Borjal. And the students of the DLSU, College of Law, led by Christian Bañales. We acknowledge your presence for the record in this afternoon session, and we welcome you to the Senate. We do hope that we can show you good examples of what your Senate is doing. Thank you. Yes, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President. With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 2081 on the Santa Fe National High School.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of the measure on third reading is in order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal and record the whole text thereof.
The Secretary is directed to do so.
House Bill number 2081, an act separating the Limbaan National High School Santa Fe extension in Barangay Santa Fe, Municipality of New Corella, Province of Davao Norte, from the Limbaan National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Santa Fe National High School and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, copies of this measure as approved on second reading have been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule found under Section 26, Paragraph 2, Article 6 of the 1987 Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
Sino? 1 minute suspension. No, papasok lang sa may third reading. May I just request everybody to stay? May I request our colleagues just to stay for a few minutes so that we can pass on third reading the measures. Ma'am, may 13 na? Ha? Are there 13? Ha? Si Sunny? Thank you, partner. Sandali lang. Painit mo na. Session is resumed. The Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano, Alan Peter Compañero S., Cayetano PIS, Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Unasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Drilon.
Senator, 15 senators voted affirmatively, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill 2081 is approved on third reading. Sani? Marami. Marami.
10.
Sige.
With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 4918 on Tabuan National High School.
Consideration of the measure is in order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal Records the whole text.
The Secretary will do so.
House Bill number 4918, an act separating the Tukuran Technical Vocational High School, Tabuan Annex in Barangay Tabuan, Municipality of Tukuran, Province of Zamboanga del Sur, from the Tukuran Technical Vocational High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Tabuan National High School and appropriating funds therefore.
Secretary will conduct.
Mr. President, copies of this measure as approved on second reading have been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule under the Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
The roll call vote, the Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
Senator Sangara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano, Alan, Peter, Compañero Ruiz, Cayetano, P.I.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Hunasan, Lapid, Ligarda, Marcos, Osmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Trilon.
14 senators voted affirmatively, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill 4918 is approved on third reading.
With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 4921 on Corazon C. Aquino National High School.
Consideration of the measure is in order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal Records the whole text thereof.
The Secretary is directed to read into the records the title of the measure.
House Bill number 4921, an act separating the Compostela National High School, Corazon C. Aquino High School Annex in Barangay Osmeña, Municipality of Compostela, Province of Compostela, Bali, from the Compostela National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Corazon C. Aquino National High School and appropriating funds therefore.
Mr. President, copies of this measure as approved on second reading have been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule under the Constitution. We're thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
The Secretary will conduct the roll call.
Senator Sangara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano, Alan, Peter, Compañero S, Cayetano, P.I.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Unasan, Lapid, Ligarda, Marcos, Osmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Rilon.
14 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill 4921 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 4921 or on Tumog National Agricultural and Trade High School, Mr. President.
Consideration of the measure is in order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal Record the whole text thereof.
House Bill number 4291, an act separating the Luna National High School, Tumog Annex in Barangay Tumog, Municipality of Luna, Province of Apayao, from the Luna National High School, converting it into an independent national agricultural and trade high school to be known as Tumog National Agricultural and Trade High School and appropriating funds therefore.
Mr. President, copies of this measure as approved on second reading has been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule under the Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
Secretary will conduct roll call vote.
Honorable Senator Sangara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano, Alan, Peter, Compañero S, Cayetano, P.I.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Unasan, Lapid, Ligarda, Marcos, Osmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Rilon.
For 15 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. Senate Bill 4291 is hereby approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 4367 on General Licerio Tapacio National High School.
In order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal and Records the whole text thereof.
House Bill number 4367, an act separating the General Emilio Aguinaldo National High School Annex in Barangay Pasong Buaya to Imus City, Province of Cavite, from the General Emilio Aguinaldo National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as General Licerio Topacio National High School and appropriating funds therefore.
Mr. President, copies of these measures approved on second reading has been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule under the Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
Honorable Senator Sangara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan, Peter Companya Ruiz, Cayetano P.I.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Hunasan, Lapid, Ligarda, Marcos, Smeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Rilon.
14 senators voted affirmatively, no negative vote, no abstention. House Bill 4367 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 5055 on Daniel C. Mantos National High School.
In order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal and Records the whole text thereof.
Secretary will do so.
House Bill number 5055, an act separating the San Jose National High School Daniel C. Mantos, annexed in Barangay Daniel C. Mantos, Municipality of Mahayag, Province of Zamboanga del Sur, from the San Jose National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Daniel C. Mantos National High School and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, copies of these measures approved on second reading has been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule under the Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
Honorable Senator Sangara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan, Peter Companya Ruiz, Cayetano P.I.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Hunasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Rilon.
14 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill 5055 is hereby approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 766 on Balbalan National High School.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of the measure is in order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal and Record the whole text thereof.
The Secretary will do so.
House Bill number 766, an act separating the Kalinga National High School, Salegseg, Annex in Barangay Salegseg, Municipality of Balbalan, Province of Kalinga, from the Kalinga National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Balbalan National High School and appropriating funds therefore.
Mr. President, copies of these measures approved on second reading has been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule under the Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
Honorable Senator Sangara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan, Peter Companya Ruiz, Cayetano P.I.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Hunasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Rilon.
14 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill 766 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 3652 on Palandok National High School.
In order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal and Record the whole text thereof.
The Secretary will do so.
House Bill number 3652, an act separating the Bakungan National High School, Palandok Annex in Barangay Palandok, Municipality of Leon B. Postigo, Province of Zamboanga del Norte, from the Bakungan National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Palandok National High School and appropriating funds therefore.
Mr. President, copies of this measure as approved on second reading has been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule under the Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Sangara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan, Peter Companya Ruiz, Cayetano P.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Hunasan, Lapid, Ligarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Rilon.
14 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill 3652 is hereby approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 1268 on Abuyo National High School.
In order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal and Record the whole text thereof.
The Secretary will do so.
House Bill number 1268, an act separating the Alfonso Castañeda National High School Abuyo Annex in Barangay Abuyo, Municipality of Alfonso Castañeda, Province of Nueva Vizcaya, from the Alfonso Castañeda National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Abuyo National High School, and appropriating funds therefore.
Mr. President, copies of these measures approved on second reading have been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule found under Section 26, Paragraph 2, Article 6 of the 1987 Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
The Honorable Senator Sangara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan, Peter Compaña Ruiz, Cayetano P.I.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enriles, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Unasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Trilon.
14 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill 1268 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill number 3233 on Consuelo National High School.
In objection, hearing none, consideration of the measure is in order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal and Record the whole text thereof.
Secretary will do so.
House Bill number 3233, an act separating the Santa Marcela National High School Consuelo Annex in Barangay Consuelo, Municipality of Santa Marcela, Province of Apayao, from the Santa Marcela National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Consuelo National High School, and appropriating funds therefore.
Mr. President, copies of this measure as approved on second reading have been distributed to the members of the Senate last September 29, 2015, thereby complying with the 3-day rule under the Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
Honorable Senator Sangara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan, Peter Compaña Ruiz, Cayetano P.I.S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enriles, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Unasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Trilon.
14 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill number 3233 is hereby approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we proceed with the reference of business.
The Secretary will read the reference of business.
Bills on first reading. Senate number 2977, entitled an act amending Presidential Decree number 442, the Labor Code of Philippines, Book 4, to include an additional title on family welfare by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Committee on Labor, Employment, Human Resource Development, Women, Children, Family Relations, Gender Equality.
Senate number 2978, an act mandating the use of safe cleaning products in schools to protect the health of students, Senator Defensor Santiago.
Education, Arts and Culture, Health and Demography.
Senate number 2979, an act prohibiting the sale of tires aged over 6 years and requiring stating of the manufacture date and the mandatory posting of the dangers of aged tires at the point of sale, Senator Defensor Santiago.
Trade, Commerce and Entrepreneurship.
Senate number 2980, an act to improve access to preschool, primary, and secondary education of children and youth without home, Senator Defensor Santiago.
To the Committee on Education, Arts and Culture, Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality.
Resolutions, PSR number 1602, expressing the sense of the Senate to nominate Wang Od Oggay and Ligaya Fernando Milbangsa for the Manlilikha ng Bayan Award, thereby recognizing them as national living treasures for their immense contributions in preserving traditional Filipino arts, Senator Defensor Santiago.
Rules.
PSR number 1603, directing the Senate Committee on Health and Demography and other appropriate Senate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported cases of Japanese encephalitis in the Cordillera region, Senator Lapid.
Health and Demography.
Yes, resolution number 1604, congratulating and commending the Gilas Pilipinas basketball team for winning silver in the recently concluded 2015 FIBA Asia Championship on October 3, 2015 at the Changsha Social Work College Gymnasium, Changsha, Hunan, China, Senator Lapid.
Committee on Rules.
PSR number 1605, congratulating and commending Gilas Pilipinas, the Philippine men's national basketball team with their coaches in the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, SBP, for their outstanding representation of the country and for boosting the status of Philippine basketball worldwide in winning the silver medal at the 2015 FIBA Asia Championship held in Changsha, Hunan, China. Senator Sani Angara.
Rules.
PS Resolution number 1606, recognizing and commending Apu Wango Dogay of Kalinga for an invaluable role in perpetuating the traditional art of tattooing, thus contributing to the richness of the country's heritage. Senator Ligarda.
Rules.
Committee report. Committee reports. Committee report number 269, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 103, introduced by Representatives Mercado Revilla and Primicias Agabas, entitled An Act declaring June 23 of every year as a special non-working holiday in the city of Bacolod to commemorate its anniversary as a city, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 270, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 3945, introduced by Representative Badiong et al., entitled An Act declaring July 4 of every year a special non-working holiday in the province of Lanao del Sur in commemoration of Foundation Day, recommending approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 271, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 3962, introduced by Representatives Chudoro and Primicias Agabas, entitled An Act declaring April 16 of every year special non-working holiday in the city of Marikina in commemoration of its founding anniversary, to be known as Marikina City Day, recommending its approval with amendments. Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 272, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 3964, introduced by Representatives Bernos and Primicias Agabas, entitled An Act declaring March 9 of every year special non-working holiday in the province of Abra in commemoration of its foundation anniversary and the culmination of the Abrenian Kawayan Festival, recommending approval with amendments. Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 273, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 3968, introduced by Representatives Telentino and Primicias Agabas, entitled An Act declaring June 21 of every year a special non-working holiday in Tagaytay City, province of Cavite, in commemoration of its foundation day, to be known as Charter Day of Tagaytay City, or Araw ng Lungsod ng Tagaytay, recommending approval with amendments. Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 274, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 3969, introduced by Representatives Advincula and Primicias Agabas, entitled Act declaring June 30 of every year a special non-working holiday in the city of Imos, province of Cavite, in commemoration of its founding anniversary, recommending approval with amendments. Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 275, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 3973, introduced by Representatives Mercado Revilla and Primicias Agabas, entitled An Act declaring September 29 of every year a special non-working holiday in the city of Bacoor, province of Cavite, in commemoration of the Araw ng Bacoor, recommending approval with amendments. Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 276 by the Committee on Local Government on House number 4565, introduced by Representative Roman et al., entitled An Act declaring May 8 of every year as Hermosa Day and a special non-working public holiday in the municipality of Hermosa, province of Bataan, recommending approval with amendments, taking into consideration Senate number 2647, sponsor Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 277, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 4646, introduced by Representative Goriseta et al., entitled An Act declaring 29 of every year a special non-working holiday in the municipality of Leon, province of Iloilo, in honor of Captain Jose Calugas Sr., to be known as Jose Calugas Day, recommending approval with amendments. Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 278, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 4797, introduced by Representatives Macapagal Arroyo and Primicias Agabas, entitled An Act declaring October 31 of every year special non-working holiday in the municipality of Porac, province of Pampanga, in commemoration of its founding anniversary, to be known as Porac Day, recommending approval with amendments, taking into consideration Senate number 2386, Senator Marcos Jr. Committee report number 279, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 4798, introduced by Representatives Bello S. and Primis Sagabas, entitled an act declaring August 11 of every year special and working holiday in the city of Ilagan, province of Isabela, in commemoration with Charter Day anniversary known as Ilagan City Charter Day, recommending approval with amendments sponsored Senator Marcos Jr. Committee Report number 280 by the Committee on Local Government on House number 799, introduced by Representative Tejada et al., entitled an act declaring September 1 of every year special non-working holiday in the province of North Cotabato in commemoration of its founding anniversary, recommending its approval with amendments sponsored Senator Marcos Jr. Committee Report number 281, submitted by the Committee on Local Government on House number 5552, introduced by Representative Olivares and Primicia Sagabas, entitled an act declaring February 13 of every year special non-working holiday in the city of Parañaque, Metro Manila, in commemoration of its Foundation Day anniversary, recommending its approval with amendments sponsored Senator Marcos Jr.
All referred to the calendar for ordinary business.
Additional reference of business, bill on first reading, Senate number 2981, entitled an act declaring the province of Batanes as a responsible community-based cultural heritage and ecotourism zone, introduced by Senator Paulo Benigno Bamaquino IV.
Environment and Natural Resources and Tourism.
Resolutions, PS Resolution number 1607, congratulating and commending the Philippine national team, Gilas Pilipinas, for winning the silver medal in the 2015 Federation Internationale de Basketball FIBA Asia Championship, a step closer to the 2016 Rio de Janeiro Olympics held in Changsha, Hunan, China, introduced by Senator Ronazan II.
Rules.
Yes, Resolution number 1608, directing the proper Senate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation regarding the alarming increase of reported dengue cases in the country, with the end in view of proposing policy for continuous improvement in the prevention of the disease, introduced by Senator Maria Lourdes Nancy S. Binay.
Health and Demography.
Committee Report number 282, submitted by the Committee on Finance and Senate Joint Resolution number 14, introduced by Senator Drilon, entitled Joint Resolution amending special provisions of 1A1, I1A1, and ID1 of Republic Act number 10651, otherwise known as the General Appropriation Act for fiscal year 2015, recommending its approval with amendments sponsored Senators Legarda and Drilon.
Calendar for ordinary business. The Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we transfer Senate Bill number 1618 under Committee Report number 265 from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders.
Any objection? Hearing none, so transferred.
With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider Senate Bill number 1618 under Committee Report number 265.
Any objection? Hearing none, in order.
With the permission of the body, I move that the Secretary read only the title of the measure.
The Secretary will read the title of the measure.
Senate number 1618, an act requiring business establishments to give exact change to consumers.
Majority
Mr. President,
Leader.
I move that we recognize Senator Aquino to sponsor the measure.
Senator Aquino is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues. Mga kaibigan, mga kababayan, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. I am pleased to address you today in support of consumer protection and the continued professionalization of our micro, small, and medium enterprises, as I sponsor Senate Bill number 265, Senate Bill number 1618, under Committee Report number 265, entitled an act requiring business establishments to give exact change to consumers. Mr. President and esteemed colleagues, as our economy continues to rise and a mounting number of Filipinos have more purchasing power, weaving decency, integrity, and professionalism into our social fabric becomes increasingly important. This measure promotes such a culture among our Filipino entrepreneurs by prohibiting the giving of insufficient or no change. This measure will also require that price tags reflect the exact price, including taxes, and that signs are posted to remind customers to make sure they aren't shortchanged. First-time violators shall be fined 500 pesos. The second offense will warrant a 3-month suspension of the establishment's license to operate along with a fine of 15,000 pesos. And the third violation results in the revocation of the establishment's license to operate and a fine of 25,000 pesos. In the advent of the ASEAN integration and our rise to economic power, let us show the world that all Filipinos, from established corporations, medium-sized enterprises, and even down to our sari-sari stores, can engage in business professionally, honestly, and justly. This practice of giving consumers what they are due, down to the last centavo, breeds a culture of precision and fairness that should permeate through all Filipino businesses. Naniniwala po tayo na madadala at mapakikinabangan ng mga negosyanteng Pilipino ang kasanayang ito kapag lumaki at lumago ang kanilang mga negosyo. Kaya inaasahan ko po ang inyong suporta sa pagpasa ng patakaran pong ito. Marami pong salamat. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Aquino, the Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 1618.
Any objection? Hearing so suspended.
A minute suspension, Mr. President.
1 minute suspended.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
I move that we transfer Senate Bill number 2976 under Committee Report number 268 from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders.
Any objection? Hearing none. Senate Bill 2976 and the Committee Report number 268 is transferred from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders.
Mr. President, with the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider Senate Bill number 2976 under Committee Report number 268.
Any objection? Hearing none. In order.
With the permission of the body, I move that the Secretary read only the title of the measure.
Secretary will read the title of the measure.
Senate Bill number 2976, an act enhancing the resolution and liquidation framework for banks, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 3591 as amended and other related laws.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we recognize Senator Osmeña to sponsor the measure.
Senator Osmeña is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon to you and our esteemed colleagues. Your Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies is pleased to submit a consolidated measure, Senate Bill number 2976, entitled An Act Enhancing the Resolution and Liquidation Framework for Banks, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 3591 as amended and other related laws, which is covered by Committee Report 268. This bill has taken into consideration House Bill number 6020, authored by Representatives Sonny Colliantes, Al Francis Bichara, Maximo Rodriguez Jr., Rufus Rodriguez, Elisa Co, Lani Mercado Revilla, and others. The purpose of this proposed law is to provide wider and deeper protection for all depositors, promote financial inclusion, and ensure a more stable financial system. The Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation, or the PDIC, has gone through a number of challenges as it carries out its mandate as the state deposit insurer. From the problems brought about by the savings and loans fiasco of the 1980s, the Asian financial crisis of the 1990s, the global financial crisis in late 2000s, and the spate of bank closures brought about by the scams perpetuated by the Legacy Group around 2008 to 2009, the PDIC has been the shock absorber as it undertook its role as one of the economy's financial safety nets. In the course of all these events, Mr. President, depositors and creditors of closed banks had to bear the adverse consequences of bank closures. They experienced significant loss of their hard-earned money and disruption of their businesses. Cognizant of the lessons learned from the past 3 decades, there is a need to reinforce the authority of PDIC to better provide protection to depositors and creditors and to maintain confidence in our banking system. These would be the granting of additional missions for the PDIC, such as 1. To be able to assist banks in danger of closing, subject to certain conditions, that while operating or not, after they have been closed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. 2. To be able to give depositors immediate access to their insured deposits when the banks have to be closed, thereby minimizing disruption to the depositors' lives. 3. To increase the chances to recover uninsured deposits by elevating the status of their claims to the hierarchy of claims against the remaining assets of the banks under liquidation. 4. To allow the PDIC to sell all of the assets and assume all of the liabilities of a closed bank as a mode of liquidation without the need for court approval. Senate Bill 2976 also provides for the basic requirements for PDIC to effectively exercise these authorities. These include the enhancement of governance and the institutional framework, B. Provision of limited access to deposit records, but only for banks which have been declared by the BSP to be capital deficient, so that this will enable the PDIC to immediately pay the depositor his or her insured deposits, as well as safeguard the interests of the depositors by making sure that the deposit records are kept in accordance with legal requirements, rules, and regulations. And C. To an increase in penalties for various offenses and providing for new offenses, such as the filing of fictitious and/or fraudulent claims, certifying the validity of fictitious deposit liabilities, and bank fraud. Mr. President, Senate Bill 2976 is a product of extensive consultation with numerous stakeholders, such as the PDIC, the Department of Finance, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the Governance Commission for GOCCs, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Bankers Association of the Philippines, the Chamber of Thrift Banks, and the Rural Bankers Association of the Philippines. This bill is an opportunity to advance and to apply the lessons learned from the past global crisis and bank closures. The proposed bill permits us to introduce much-needed reforms to address gaps in existing laws. Therefore, Mr. President, the passage of this bill by the Senate is being earnestly sought. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Yes.
to give our colleagues time to study the measure, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2976.
Any objection? Hearing none. Consideration of Senate Bill 2976 under Committee Report 268 is hereby suspended.
Mr. President, I move that we transfer House Bill number 2360 under Committee Report number 190 from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders.
Any objection? Hearing none.
With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider House Bill number 2360 under Committee Report number 190.
Consideration of the measure is in order.
With the-
and its transfer from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders is in order.
With the permission of the body, I move that the Secretary read only the title of the measure.
Secretary will read the title of the measure.
House Bill number 2360, an act establishing a Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC office in Bacolod City and appropriating funds therefore.
I move that we recognize Senator Osmeña to sponsor the measure.
Senator Osmeña is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to present for the Senate's approval, Mr. President, House Bill number 2360, as amended by the Senate, entitled An Act Establishing a Securities and Exchange Commission Office in Bacolod City and Appropriating Funds Therefore. This is covered by Senate Committee Report number 190. House number 2360 was introduced by Representatives Leonardia, Colliantes, Almonte, Batocabe, and Tinio, which bill establishes an extension office of the Securities and Exchange Commission in Bacolod. Among the amendments introduced by the Senate Committee on Banks are the following. the creation of 10 additional plantilla positions for the initial operation of the SEC Bacolod, an appropriation of 10 million pesos to finance SEC Bacolod's operations for the first fiscal year, which appropriation shall be in addition to the SEC's current annual budget and its regular retention income under the Securities Regulation Code. 3. For each fiscal year thereafter, an appropriation of such additional sums as may be necessary for SEC Bacolod to continue operation and for the maintenance and salaries of its officers and employees to reflect pay rate changes made in accordance with the Securities Regulation Code. Bacolod City was declared in 2013 by the Department of Science and Technology as a Center of Excellence for Information Technology, IT Business Process Management Operations, and enabled Bacolod to join the ranks of Metro Manila, Metro Cebu, and Clark. The city, also known as the City of Smiles, is the most populous city in Negros Island and the second most populous city in the Visayas after Cebu. SEC statistics show that as of early 2015, there are around 5,640 corporations with principal offices in Bacolod City alone. The rest of Negros Occidental has 8,296 corporations, and Negros Oriental has 1,493 corporations. Also, from the 2009 to 2014 corporate registration in Bacolod, which has consistently grown by 5%, in Negros Occidental by 15%, and Negros Oriental by 8%. For that same period, at least 3.4 billion pesos worth of paid-up capital was infused to Negros Island region. This represents a 39% year-to-year increase in investments over 5 years. With the passage of this bill, Mr. President, Bacolod City will become the 9th city in the country with an SEC extension office, the others being Cebu City, Davao City, Cagayan de Oro City, Zamboanga City, Iloilo City, Legazpi City, Tarlac, and Baguio. The establishment of an extension office in Bacolod will also declog SEC Iloilo's pending business registration applications and would speed up the Visayan region's economic development. The opening up of the Bacolod Extension Office would likewise augment the monitoring capabilities of SEC Iloilo and SEC Cebu, especially for those businesses located in Negros. This will operationalize the One Negros region recently approved by President Aquino. More importantly, SEC Bacolod can provide investor information and services to the region by conducting public seminars, attending speaking engagements, and generating and disseminating investment-related information materials. This would prevent and arrest the proliferation of investment scams in the Negros Island region. Furthermore, the passage of this bill is consistent with the espoused developmental objectives in creating the Negros Island region and its own government center, which is to accelerate further the social and economic development of the cities and municipalities comprising the provinces of Negros Occidental and Negros Oriental, and improve the delivery of public services in the aforementioned provinces. The approval, therefore, of House Bill 2360, as amended by the Senate, is therefore earnestly sought. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Osmeña.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 2360.
Any objection? Then I'll approve.
A minute suspension, Mr. President.
1 minute suspension. right, Pia? Find out if there's anything. Papapirma ka pa. Ikaw naman. Papirma ka na, babasahin mo pa. Ray, yung resolution. Para lang mabasa na.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
Mr. President, I move that we proceed with the second additional reference of business.
The Secretary will read the second additional reference of business.
Second additional reference of business, committee reports. Committee report number 283 prepared and submitted jointly by the Committees on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality, Finance, Government Corporations and Public Enterprises, and Civil Service Government Organization and Professional Regulation on Senate number 2982 with Senators Ramon Bong Revilla Jr., Maria Lourdes Nances Bina, Trillanes IV, Cayetano P. and Legarda as authors thereof, entitled An Act Increasing the Maternity Leave Period to 100 Days for Female Employees in the Government Service and in the Private Sector, and granting an option to extend for an additional 30 days without pay, amending for the purpose, Republic Act number 1161 as amended, and for other purposes, recommending its approval in substitution of Senate numbers 288, 2083, 2084, 2661, and 2710, sponsor Senator Cayetano P.
Calendar for ordinary business.
Committee report number 284 prepared and submitted jointly by the Committees on Environment and Natural Resources, Local Government, and Finance on Senate number 2983 with Senators Escudero, Recto, Joseph Victor, Ejercito, Legarda, and Marcos Jr. as authors thereof, entitled An Act Providing for the Delineation of the Specific Forest Lands Limits of the Public Domain and for other purposes, recommending its approval in substitution of Senate number 604, 786, 1101, and 1900, taking into consideration House number 4988, sponsor Senator Escudero.
Ordinary business.
Mr. President, I move that we transfer Senate Bill number 2982 under Committee Report number 283 from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders.
Any objection? Hearing none. In order.
With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider Senate Bill number 2982 under Committee Report number 283.
Any objection? Hearing none. Consideration of the measure and second reading is in order.
With the permission of the body, I move that the Secretary reads only the title of the measure.
Secretary will read the title of the measure.
Senate Bill number 2982, an act increasing the maternity leave period to 100 days for female employees in the government service and in the private sector, and granting an option to extend for an additional 30 days without pay, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 1161 as amended, and for other purposes.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we recognize this representation to sponsor the measure.
Senator Pia Cayetano is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Mr. President, 1 minute suspension just to prepare the presentation.
1 minute suspension.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
Mr. President, esteemed colleagues, our fundamental law recognizes the important role of women in nation building. Article 13, Section 14 of the Constitution mandates the state to protect the rights of working women, taking into account their maternal functions, and to provide facilities and opportunities that will enhance their welfare and enable them to realize their full potential in the service of the nation. In recent years, the Philippines has been recognized as one of the best countries in the world to be a woman. We have enacted landmark laws that uphold women's rights and support women who balance their roles at home and in the workplace. However, there is still more to be done so that working women can start and raise their families in conditions of security. Today, I stand before you to sponsor Committee Report Number 283, or the expanded maternity leave law. This measure seeks to expand the maternity leave period in order to provide mothers with ample transition time to regain health and overall wellness, as well as to assume their maternal roles before resuming full-time work, and at the same time give sufficient financial support while on maternity leave. The International Labor Organization recognized the need to further promote equality of all women in the workforce, as well as the health and safety of mother and child, adopted Convention Number 183, or the Maternity Protection Convention in the year 2000. Article 4 of this convention sets the standard period of maternity leave at not less than 98 days. Currently, our laws provide for 60 days of maternity leave for government employees and 60 to 78 days for employees in the private sector, depending on the mode of delivery. This is considerably less than the minimum of 98 days prescribed by the International Labor Organization. In fact, in the ASEAN region, we lag behind in terms of maternity leave duration. Vietnam provides 120 to 180 days of maternity leave, depending on working conditions and nature of work. Singapore, on the other hand, provides 112 days of maternity leave. Both countries give beyond what the ILO prescribes. Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, PDR, Myanmar, and Thailand all provide a maternity leave period of 84 days, while the Philippines provides only 60 days for normal delivery and 78 for cesarean. Based on the statistics provided by the Institute for Labor Studies of the Department of Labor and Employment, ASEAN members, states with higher maternity benefits show a higher life expectancy and lower maternal mortality ratio. It is not surprising then that the Philippines ranks 8 out of 10 ASEAN countries in terms of life expectancy at birth and 6 in maternal mortality ratio. The proposed bill seeks to increase the current maternity leave period to 100 days for female employees in government service and in the private sector, regardless of the mode of delivery. They can also avail of an additional maternity leave of 30 days without pay at the option of the employee. This expansion of the maternity leave period shall not in any way diminish the existing maternity benefits granted by the employer if more beneficial, and it shall not affect the female employee's security of tenure. The bill likewise recognizes that there are those who are receiving more than the 6,000 cap provided under SSS. The bill thus gives employees who are earning more, gives them an entitlement of not less than 2/3 of their regular monthly wages. Employers from the private sector shall shoulder the salary differentials between the actual cash benefit received from the SSS and the average weekly or regular wage of the employee. Data from the SSS shows that for the year 2012 to 2014, the availment of the maternity leave is less than 2% of the total female population of SSS members. As a health measure all over the world and in line with addressing infant mortality, mothers have been encouraged to breastfeed. Studies have shown that the biggest hindrance in successful breastfeeding once baby is going back to work. Corollarily, longer maternity leave periods encourage exclusive breastfeeding in women. Exclusive breastfeeding not only gives babies ample protection against disease and life-threatening illnesses, it also leads to healthier children and reduces the amount of money that health systems spend on illnesses caused by poor infant and child feeding, as revealed in the study by the International Baby Food Action Network. Strong maternity leave policies are also beneficial for employers, as studies show that it creates a more stable and loyal workforce, including reduced employee turnover and absenteeism and increased participation of women in the workforce. Mr. President, this measure seeks to achieve a twofold purpose: to promote the health and well-being of working mothers and their infants, and to achieve genuine equality of opportunity by enabling working women to raise families in conditions of security. For working women and their families, pregnancy and maternity are both especially exciting and vulnerable times. Before, during, and after giving birth, we need to be conscious of a mother's special needs. She needs to prepare herself for the arrival of a newborn. And once that infant is born, she also needs time to care for the baby, breastfeed, and recover from childbirth. This period immediately after giving birth is crucial to ensure that the mother regains optimum health to nurse and nurture her newborn child. Through policies like this, we aim to institutionalize standards that promote the rights of working women and protect them from discrimination based on maternity. In this light, I humbly urge the swift passage of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pia Cayetano.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2982.
Consideration of the measure is suspended.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Wednesday, October 7, 2015.
Any objection? Hearing none. Session is adjourned until Wednesday, October 7, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.